The plan? Well, it's remarkably simple. Arrange for Beatrice and Benedict to separately overhear conversations about how the other is hopelessly in love with them and may even suffer death if their love remains unrequited. In Act 2, Scene 3, the plan kicks off with Benedict hiding in the bushes, listening in to Don Pedro, Claudio and Leonato's conversation. Leonato marvels, "It is most wonderful that Beatrice should so dote on Signor Benedict, whom she hath in all outward behaviours seemed ever to abhor." The verb dote suggests that Beatrice loves Benedict completely, thinks everything about him is perfect, and it is the strength of this verb which is sure to flatter Benedict's ego and make him ponder whether a relationship could in fact appeal. In Act 3, Scene 1, the same plan is put into motion, but with Beatrice hiding nearby, listening in to her cousin Hero and companion Ursula. Hero describes how Benedict will suffer terribly for his love due to Beatrice's inability to swallow her own pride and restrain her wit. Therefore, let Benedict, like covered fire, consume away in sighs, waste inwardly. The simile compares Benedict to a fire whose flames have been smothered and starved of oxygen and must inevitably go out. Hero is arguing that the whole passion and even life of Benedict will be left to be extinguished due to his feelings of cruelly unrequited love. Now, due to dramatic irony, the audience knowing more than both Beatrice and Benedict, we know both stories are entirely fictitious. However, the fact that both Beatrice and Benedict are taken in so easily shows not just that Don Pedro, Claudio, Leonato and Hero are excellent actors and deceivers, but also that the scenarios they paint are realistic ones. Shakespeare is suggesting that love is such an all-powerful, all-consuming passion that when unrequited it can leave sufferers feeling near suicidal. Shakespeare is perhaps also suggesting that the end can justify the means. Does it matter that Beatrice and Benedict are brought together by a pack of lies? Or is love such an important part of our lives that some initial deception and untruths do not matter within the overall scheme of things? Because love is such an all-conquering, all-devouring passion, participants can struggle to think about anything else. It seeps into their bones, their thoughts, their actions, meaning that their feelings and sufferings about the possibility of their love being unrequited are immediately obvious. In Act 3, Scene 2, the normally verbose, merry Benedict, now hopelessly in love with Beatrice following his friend's plotting, is transformed into a miserable, melancholy fellow of just a few syllables. He tells his friends, "Gallants, I am not as I have been," and "I have the toothache." So the act and uncertainty of falling in love can result in you feeling completely different about yourself and suffering physical pangs as well as emotional. Toothache and love were commonly associated in Elizabethan times, and certainly as any of us who have had to go to the dentist recently will testify, toothache is one of the sharpest pains the human body can experience. And it is not just men who become introspective and a little depressed during the early pangs of falling in love. Beatrice tells Margaret and Hero that, "By my troth, I am sick." So much so that she too is dominated in the conversation by a mere understudy in the wit stakes, Margaret, Hero's lady companion. But because of the suffering in the early stages, when love comes to fruition it can result in happiness beyond compare. At the end of the play, Beatrice and Benedict are indeed brought together and married. In Act 5, Scene 4, Benedict's joy is tangible as he proclaims the greatness of love as institutionalised within marriage. Following a light-hearted jibe from Don Pedro about how he has completely changed his views on love, Benedict responds confidently, "Dost thou think I care for a satire or an epigram? Since I do purpose to marry, I will think nothing to any purpose that the world would can say against it, and therefore never flout at me." So Benedict is so gripped by love that he has the self-confidence to dismiss entirely other people's opinions or witty jokes. Love has given him the exhilarating assurance to dismiss even what the whole world might think about what he's doing. He doesn't care. He's in love. He wants to marry. And so the play ends very much on a "let's celebrate this institution of marriage" note. However, the ending does not bring complete happiness, for although Benedict and Beatrice seem a wonderful match, the union of Hero and Claudio is a more uncomfortable affair. I mentioned earlier in this video how Leonardo had given permission to Claudio to marry his daughter Hero. Well, this very nearly never took place following some catastrophic plotting from Don John, Don Pedro's shady half-brother. This essay has already shown how deception and plotting is used positively in Much Ado About Nothing. Don Pedro disguising himself as Claudio, the deceiving of Benedict and Beatrice about the other person's feelings. However, deception very nearly thwarts presumably genuine love and a conventionally happy marriage. Here's how. Don John is a villain in every sense of the words. Although he's been recently received back into Don Pedro's inner circle of friends and associates, he still feels an outsider, and when alone with Confederate, openly admits, "I am a plain-dealing villain." He gets together with one of his followers, Borachio, and plays him 1,000 ducats to trick Don Pedro and Claudio into thinking he, Borachio, has bedded Hero many a wicked time. Love and a respectable marriage depended on one crucial factor in Elizabethan times, the chastity and purity of the bride-to-be. If the woman was found to have wantonly lost her virginity, this would have been seen as morally unacceptable and a terrible disgrace to both the woman and by extension her family. And so when Claudio finds out that Hero has been unchaste, his wrath and fury are uncontrollable. With Hero dressed up in her wedding gown by the altar, he screeches with the pain of lost pride and indignation. "You seem to me as Dian in her orb, as chaste as is the bud ere it be blown. But you are more intemperate in your blood than Venus or those pampered animals that rage in savage sensuality." Part of Claudio's frustration is that Hero seems, well, so hero-like in her innocence and beauty. He compares her to Diana, the moon and goddess of chastity, to a beautiful flower. Yet he feels this is just a charade, as inside she is subhuman in her ravenous sexual desire. The image of pampered animals raging in savage sensuality is a powerful one that strips Hero of her veneer of human civility. The phrase savage sensuality is memorable, due both to its catchphrase style use of alliterative S's, but also due to the oxymoronic combination of words. Sensuality is associated with gentle, physical, sexual pleasure, whereas savage is a violent, Neanderthal adjective. The overall effect is to leave Hero utterly humiliated, so much so she falls unconscious and reminds the modern audience how much power the man had over the woman within Elizabethan society. Just one accusation about infidelity, just one, could result in a lifetime of disgrace. So in Much Ado About Nothing, deception tries to halt the irresistible march of love towards its Elizabethan conclusion, marriage. However, it is ultimately unsuccessful. Don John is eventually found out, but not before surely both Leonardo and Claudio have done some irreparable damage to their respective relationships with Hero. I've already commented on one of Claudio's ridiculous rants, but Leonardo's are equally reprehensible. He shouts at his prostrate daughter, who has just collapsed under the strain of the ludicrous allegations of her lustful liaisons. "Do not live, Hero, do not ope thine eyes, for did I think thou wouldst not quickly die, thought I thy spirits were stronger than thy shames, myself would on the rearward of reproaches strike at thy life." His imperatives do not are brutally stark, and are orders for his only child to die because of what she is supposed to have done. But he goes further than that. Indeed, the phrase "strike at thy life" shows that he would be prepared to kill her himself if her shame doesn't. But overall the play shows that love is able to conquer all. Claudio deserves a second chance of happiness with Hero, as he truly repents the way he disgraced her so unjustly. Although Leonardo did say some terrible things to his daughter, he also suffered terribly throughout the whole episode, and following wise words from Benedict, Beatrice and the priest, supported her vigorously. Hero is able to stand at the second time and say triumphantly, "One hero died defiled, but I do live, and surely as I live, I am a maid." Because she has followed Elizabethan rules about chastity, she is able to end the play happily married, every Elizabethan woman's goal. So, there are two happy marriages at the end of the play, Hero and Claudio, and Benedict and Beatrice. Both couples are assumed to live happily ever after, though perhaps on Beatrice's part with some loss of her gloriously outspoken role-playing. Carol Thomas Neely, in her 1985 essay, Broken Nuptials, Much Ado About Nothing, certainly felt Beatrice's status at the end of the play was a problematic one, and refers to her kiss with Benedict in Act 5, Scene 4 as the beginning of the inequality that Beatrice feared in marriage, and that is also implicit in the framing of the wedding festivity with male jokes about cuckoldry, in the re-establishment of male authority by means of these jokes, and in Benedict's control of the nuptials. Still, love conquers all, doesn't it? You've been watching Schofield on Shakespeare. Good morning.